Hello everyone, welcome to the series of Public Finance. This is Dr. Atman Shah. In this video, we are going to discuss the idea of local public goods. You can find more videos on public finance, macroeconomics, international economics on my YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. So let's begin with the idea of local public goods. So local public goods are goods and services whose benefits are confined to a specific geographical area, community and jurisdiction. The benefits are limited to a particular geographical area, to a particular locality, and therefore these goods are known as local public goods. So residents within that particular locality enjoy the benefits, but those who do not live in that community or in that locality, or the outsiders, they do not gain from such public goods. So what are the key characteristics of local public goods? First is non-rivalrous within the locality. So one person's consumption does not significantly reduce the availability to others, which is also the characteristic of a pure public good. Second is non-excludable. That means it is very difficult or costly to exclude local residents from benefiting. So these two characteristics are common. The third characteristic is geographically limited benefits. Since the benefits are limited to a particular area, a particular region, or a particular community, these goods are local public goods. So it can be a city, a district, a town, a community, or a particular region. And fourth and very important, these kind of goods are provided by local governments. So in India, we have Panchayati Raj institutions or urban local bodies like municipalities, panchayats, nagar palikas. Such goods are provided by these local governments. Now let's understand the idea of Tiebout's hypothesis. The Tiebout's hypothesis and Oates decentralization theorem, both the concepts are associated with local public goods. So Tiebout in 1956 propounded the concept of voting for fit. Now he proposed that if consumers are fully mobile, there are no qualitative restrictions on the mobility of consumers, they self-select into neighborhoods matching their tax and public service preferences. If consumers, if people are completely mobile, there are no qualitative restrictions on the mobility of the people, then people choose the community that matches their tax and public service preferences. They easily move from one community or one region to another region where they prefer tax and public services, or where the preferences match with their demand. So this kind of sorting reveals consumer preferences. So suppose I live in community A and there are no qualitative restrictions, and community B provides more public goods and services which I need, then I will easily move from community A to community B. So this kind of sorting reveals the consumer preferences for local public goods, resolving the traditional free rider problem that hampers centralized allocation. So individuals reveal their preferences by moving to communities. I reveal my preferences. If I move from community A to community B, or region A to region B, to avail certain public services, that means by moving from community A to community B, I am revealing my preferences that I prefer the services provided in region B than in region A. And for that I pay tax. So that is why the tax and public service preferences are important. Now how it works? So different local governments offer different levels of public good. In region A, the local government is different. In region B, the local government is different. The people's preferences are different, and therefore these different local governments offer different levels of public goods. communities finance this kind of local goods through local taxes. And therefore, local taxes also differ from region to region, or from area to area, from city to city, or from state to state. So, citizens may choose where to live based on their preferences. So, migration leads to a better match between residents' preference and public service provision. So, if I move from community A to community B, or region A to region B, that means I have a better match between my preference and public service provision in region B. And that is why I am moving from A to B. So let's understand this with the help of example. Suppose a family preferring high quality public schools. That is family's preference. So this family may choose a municipality with higher property taxes but better educational services. So this family will move to this kind of area where they get this better public schools. Suppose families with young children prefer parks, playgrounds, recreational facilities. So they are ready to move or relocate a community that invests heavily in parks, playgrounds, and recreational facilities, even if local taxes are higher. So this way, public move to such communities, such areas where their preferences are matching with the public service provision. And what are the major implications of this hypothesis? First, there is a competition among local governments, and therefore it can improve the efficiency. There is a competition between region A and region B in providing better public services, and that improves the efficiency. Local authorities have incentives to provide service that residents value. That is another implication, that local authorities have these incentives because people are moving from other communities to these communities, or other regions to this region, and therefore local governments, local authorities have the incentive to provide better public services. Decentralized provision of local public goods. Rather than providing public goods by central government, these local governments will provide the public goods, and therefore we have this decentralized system, and which is more efficient than centralized system. And last, citizens sort themselves into communities with similar preferences. So if a family moves from region A to region B in search of better public schools, in region B you may find other families who prefer better public schools, and therefore they have similar kind of taste as far as public services are concerned. Now, what are the assumptions? Assumption number one: individuals are free to move. There are no qualitative restrictions. Second, complete information about taxes and services of other communities. You know the tax structure in region B. If you want to move to region B, you also know the services provided by local authorities in region B. Many communities offering different bundles of public goods. If all communities are providing the same bundles of public goods, then there is no point of moving from one community or one region to another region, and therefore we assume that various communities provide various bundles of public goods. Fourth, no significant cost of moving from one community or one region to another region. If it is costlier, then people will prefer not to move. Fifth, public goods benefit local residents only, and that is the idea of local public goods. If public service provided by or provided in region B also gives benefit to people living region A or region C, then there is no point of moving from one community or one region to another region. So we assume that the services provided by one community or one region gives benefit to the residents of that particular region only. And number six, communities can accommodate population changes. We have that facilities, that our region has that facility, that incoming people are the community can accommodate the incoming people or migrant families. Now let's understand Oates decentralization theorem. So in 1972, he talks about this decentralization theorem in his book Fiscal Federalism. The theorem says that in the absence of economies of scale, these two things are very important. In the absence of economies of scale and inter-jurisdictional spillovers, if we have the absence of these two things, local governments can provide public goods more efficiently than a central government, because the local government can tailor services to the preferences of local residents, because local governments know the preferences of the local people better than central government or governments in higher authorities, and therefore decentralization helps in providing public goods or public services more efficiently, particularly when economies of scale and jurisdictional spillovers are absent. Because if these two are not absent, again the benefit of one public good or the benefit of public good in one region or one locality can give the benefit to people living in other locality or other regions. So different regions have different needs and preferences. Local governments possess better knowledge, better information about local conditions. So if we have these two regions, region A and region B, or community A and community B, the need of these two communities is totally different. And local governments, local authorities have better knowledge about the need of community A and community B. So decentralized decision making allows public services to be customized according to local demands. If you allow local governments to provide these local goods and local services, they can provide these goods and services more efficiently, because they know the demands, the preferences of local people. Let's see this example. Suppose you have a rural area, prioritize the irrigation and agricultural infrastructure. So the local government tries to promote irrigation schemes, tries to invest in irrigation schemes and agricultural infrastructure. On the other hand, suppose you have metropolitan city. So the need of metropolitan city is completely different from rural area. So the local government in metropolitan city may prefer investments in public transportation and traffic management. So the need of these two communities is totally different, and this need is well known to the local authorities than central government. So local governments can therefore better allocate resources to meet the needs or the preferences of local people. Now, what are the advantages of this? So, first advantage, better matching of public services with preferences. Since local governments know better, they can provide better and efficient public services. So, you have a perfect match between demand and supply of public services. Second, greater responsiveness and accountability. Since the local governments know better, they are more responsible, more responsive to public preferences, and they are more accountable. It is easy to check what local government has done rather than checking the accountability of the central government or higher authorities. Third, it encourages innovation and policy experimentation. It is easy for local government to innovate, to experiment a new policy on a local scale. And last, it improves efficiency. So that is the idea of Oates decentralization theorem. So in this video, we discussed the idea of local public goods. We discussed the characteristics of local public goods, Tiebout's hypothesis, and Oates decentralization theorem. If you find this video useful, kindly like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.